Hello, everyone. My name is Daniel Weiss. I'm a public address announcer in New York City. A couple people in this Facebook group that I'm in, public address announcers and public address announcer, have asked what spreadsheets or programs do they use for tracking fouls. So, what I'm going to do is show people what I use. You could give me your feedback on whether or not it's a good idea. You give your suggestions. Just watch it for interest. If you want a copy, by all means, please, comment on Facebook, comment on this video, whatever you want. So I'm going to show everyone what it is I do, how I keep track, and it's worked well for me. A little bit, I guess, background about my announcing. I started with the BMCC Panthers, where I went to school for 1 year. A friend of mine, where I later went to Brooklyn College, and one of my classmates became the coach. I used to go support him. They never had in the budget for an announcer, so I volunteered because I knew that's the only way I'd get experience. And that led me on the path of doing high school games and the American Basketball Association, which is semi-pro, the Basketball League, high school, college, all these different sets of rules, all the different amount of periods or quarters or halves, all the different amount of fouls and timeouts. So, early in my career, I had a game, I forgot to print stuff, and I had my laptop, and I've, for over 8 years, developed this spreadsheet that helps me. So we're going to take a look at it. It's somewhat on the complex side. If you want me to send you a copy that's easier just for fouls, I can remove stuff. So, but we're going to take a look. We're going to start, I guess, before we do start, I'm kind of on the advanced side of Excel. In fact, once at work, I took an advanced Excel course, and I think I was falling asleep because I knew a lot of this, but enough about me and my Excel hobbies. So, the top row, you put or let's go by column. Column A is the player's jersey numbers. And then column B is the team name and the player names. Column C is the player points. D is the cumulative foul. Then E through K is the amount of fouls the player has on the top, and at the bottom, we'll get to the bottom later. So, let's say, for example, I'm with my original team, the BMCC Panthers. I could type it in there. Then, if I want to do the team colors, okay, they're wearing their navy with their orange lettering. I mean, you don't have to do that. I tend to, just because it's easier. So, and then, we'll put in the player numbers. I'll put in some fake names. Rich. So also, I worked a lot of games where I didn't get the rosters till close to game time, like literally 10, 15, 20 minutes out, or players would come. So one of the nice things I would do over time, if you know anything about Excel, and I know this is probably sounding more like an Excel class than an actual video on how do I track, but I use Excel a lot, is that, you can always create filters. So let's say, for example, a team shows up, I'm doing a high school game, they didn't have the roster. So we tell the players, all right, one at a time, come in and check in at the table, please, So, I'll do one more name. Okay, then I could always, at the end, sort it. Also, I could spell names phonetically. So, for example, let's say I get, this is a good name I've had. So let's say I get a guy. Is it Daquan or is it Daquan? It varies by players. So, we could always write it phonetically. Or the best example, I had a girl last year. Now that is pronounced India Green. So, on all of my stuff, she was India, because she told me it's pronounced like the country. Okay, I'm going to spell it like the country. So, now I have my roster of the 7 players who showed up, and I could sort it numerically. Oh, what's that? A player got blood on their jersey middle of the game, so Andy Richards now wears 30. So, you would have to change the filter, but that's, so everything would move properly, Any pregame changes, So, Andy Richards, we'll put him back at 10 for now. So, I just count points. So, let's say, the starters are these these 5 players. I just like hit 2, and then when he gets another point, 4, and then he gets a 3-pointer. It's something I've done for years. I don't always do it, but throwing it out there. Now for the fouls. Now keep in mind, some schools do 5, some levels do 6. It all varies. I use basically the count ifs feature, but anyway. So on this first foul of the game, I committed, and I announced it. I know I'm amazing. Fouls on number 3, Daniel Weiss. That's his first foul. And at the bottom, if you look at the colors, so each quarter has a color. I use Z for the first quarter, X, C, V, B, and N. I don't have many instances of fouls resetting in overtime. I think the NBA does. It's better to program it now than do it later. So it actually tracks the team fouls and the quarter fouls. Yeah, the team fouls per quarter and the personal fouls. So let's say I rack up 2 fouls. Okay, well, guess what? Now I have 2. Basically, when you type it in, it just changes the color on the font to the same color. I found it easier to keep track of. So, I can look back. I can see the fouls by quarter. It'll update automatically. So there's a little area for technicals. And then if you look, I guess let's go to row 17 now, the first all black line. That's where I have the total points and the total fouls. So let's put some fouls on here. Oh, hold on. So you can see. So that way, it's one of those things, like if I'm ever doing a game and I hear a coach complaining about the unfairness of foul calls, sometimes just at a glance I could see it. Doesn't really matter. Anyway, it's just one of those many features I have. I guess another thing is I used to customize my own baseball scorecard that a lot of my friends used. So also at the bottom, you'll have your totals, and then you have, I guess, in row 18, and you can always add and remove rows because I always duplicate this. Timeouts left. Now I leave a space to count. I don't know if they still do 7 timeouts in the NBA. I'll be quite honest. I don't really watch the NBA as much. I know the college basketball rules so well. But, you could type in the amount of timeouts if you want to keep track. Again, all optional. But I remember the NBA, I think, used to do 5 and 2 on full. And so it says right there how many timeouts I had left. And then under the timeout row, you can put down the head coach's name in case he gets teed up, or, for whatever reason. So and that was the first coach I worked for, Tommy Guerin, great guy. I won 2 CUNY championships, and it was a lot of fun on the second one when we took the court for the regional tournament, announcing that the CUNY champs were taking the court. So yeah, that's pretty much how I do it. Also, if you'll see, I guess right here in the middle, that's for if you want to keep track of the possession. I use, I guess it's a bracket. I don't know. It's on your keyboard above your comma and your period at the bottom next to the M, and so that way I'll know. Okay, on the next jump ball, visiting ball. Okay, so and then you just do it on both sides. So let's say the opposing team is the Bronx Community College. That's someone we would play. And let's say they're wearing their green and with black, or let's say they're white and green. It doesn't matter. But yeah, this is how I've done it. Also, I had a game where the visiting team did not have their numbers on their website. So I actually had all these names alphabetically, and then I sorted it. But yeah, this is what a full game of mine looks like. I was using an older one. I made some changes last week, but the example 5 and 1 on Clara Barden. They just had names that I had to do phonetically. Also, with the timeout area, I sometimes write down how many timeouts they get, because when you do different levels and different genders and different leagues, it varies. And then, yeah, I think, this has worked for me, because it basically means I could do this on last-minute notice if I don't get rosters till late day of, it's fine. It could sort itself. I could read it. I openly admit I do not have good handwriting. So, and then it's also on where the black intersects, you see that it has this score. And green means the team is up. And if, let's say, for the sake of it, let's give them another 26 points. Yellow means we have a tie game. And red means that the home team is losing when I do that. So, also, I sometimes have to reprogram it. Certain schools put their score on the right side of the scoreboard. I'm used to the standard left side, like on a Daktronics, but there's one brand where they do it the other way. I think it's Electromech. So, but this is how I've done it. You can see I have everything done, like ordered very nicely. I have like so many of these. I mean, I usually wipe them clean. So, let's say I'm doing another game for this team. I could just wipe all that away. Keep the home team players. The foul thing was not on this one. I don't know why, of the player foul. So basically resets, and then just, take about, 2 minutes here. Put back all the timeouts. Copy over the timeouts to the other side. Then, when I get the next team's matchup, so we'll say, let's just go PS 99. Not that any school really goes by that. And change the colors. I like it. You guys could give your opinions on it. So that's how I've done it. If you have any questions, comment below. Give me your feedback, and maybe I'll make a follow-up video.